Thanks for joining me on Wake Up with Mandy. Thanks to Proud's Jewellers on Radio West. And I'm chatting with Shara Evans. She's a futurist. She goes around to laboratories around the world finding out about the newest innovations that are heading our way. And one of those, in fact, one that's already with us, is unmanned cars. Shara, tell me more.
So many people have heard about self-driving cars that I thought it would be fun to update you and your audience on a couple of the latest incidents that have happened with Google's self-driving car initiative. And the first one that I'd like to mention happened back in November when a Google car was pulled over by a police officer in California for driving too slow.
Wow.
The car was going 24 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. Sorry for the miles per hour, but that's how they calculated it in America where it was pulled over. And the cop came up to the car and then realized it was being driven automatically. There was a passenger there, but there was nobody behind the wheel, and it was really quite perplexing.
Yeah.
It's really quite funny because if you think about it, who do you ticket if a car that's not being driven by a human does something wrong? Do you ticket the passenger? Do you ticket the car owner? Do you ticket somebody like Google who owns the car? Do you ticket a programmer who might have designed that algorithm?
Yeah.
It's, a lot of fun questions to be answered.
Wake Up with Mandy, thanks to Proud's Jewellers on Radio West. And I'm still chatting with Shara Evans, a futurist who has this amazing job of going around the world searching out the latest innovations. We're talking about unmanned cars, in particular Google cars, one of which was recently pulled over by a Californian police officer who found that it was actually not being driven by anyone. But there's been another incident, Shara.
Well, just to clarify, Google is one of many companies that are making very substantial investments in driverless cars. And these are really robots that are autonomous robots. They're able to navigate in the real world without a human controlling them. It just so happens that there have been a couple of funny incidents involving Google cars because they're putting so many on the road and doing so much testing. Another incident that happened a few weeks ago involved a Google SUV that sideswiped a transit bus.
Oh, my goodness.
And, so luckily, again, it was at a very, very low speed. And the accident happened because the Google car thought, in other words, the algorithm that was controlling the car thought that the bus would yield. And again, the damage was fairly minor. The Google car had to be towed away, and a mirror got dinged on the transit bus. But it could have been worse if somebody was exiting a bus at the time.
Yeah.
And it really does raise incidents about driverless vehicles. Who's responsible if there is an accident? The people that are in the car, and, there might not be anyone behind the steering wheel, the manufacturer, the software designer. What happens from an insurance perspective? Who's at fault? From a legal perspective, again, the laws have not contemplated these sorts of things.
Wow, this is really interesting. I'm very interested to find out where this goes, and I'm sure we'll hear more. Thank you so much for your time, Shara. Loving Future Talk.
Thank you, Mandy. It's great fun being on your show.
It's a lot of fun talking about the future here on Radio West. It's 6:17. I'll be back to tell you about something else that's quite futuristic in my books. It's the Thermomix.